Hello, Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, human dynamics, and pure, unfiltered game. Yes? Today, I'm going to talk about how physical contact builds desire. Now, I do not take ownership over what anybody does or how anybody acts. Okay? When talking about body language and the theoretics of, communication external to physical touch, it's a little easier to be more carefree in my explanation and in my examples and in theory. But or at least you should watch all of the content external to this that I've put out to understand when a woman is repulsed by you, when a woman doesn't want that, when you're acting inappropriately, and how to gauge that via the mirror reflection that is presented before you in the world around you, i.e., that woman you're communicating with. You should learn that information before even considering joining a discussion on physical touch and physical contact. But I'm not going to be crass. As you see before you, there's an image of mystery and the VH1 program, The Pickup Artist, because they refer to physical contact as kinesthetic, right? We're not going to speak on a pickup artistry degree of wavelength, but we are talking about attraction here. And attraction doesn't just stop at a few laughs and a few giggles. If you are wanting to be with that lady and your body is telling you you'd like to procreate with that lady and her body is telling her the same thing, then you might have a beautiful, lifelong, blooming marriage and everything that is good under the eye of God, right? So, with that long drawn out disclaimer out of the way, we are going to talk about touch. We're going to talk about physical touch, and we're going to talk about how physical contact builds desire. Now, once again, I'm not advocating for you to just start touching people. With that being said, it's the most primal form of communication. Prior to our verbal engagement, before we could even speak, we were engaging via touch. A lot more so than we are now, and even now, dependent on where you live, touch is either more or less acceptable. Okay? We'll see if we can delve into that a little bit later on, but a single well timed touch can create a spark stronger than hours of conversation. Okay? We can refer to this as anchoring, so we're just going to jump in at the deep end here. Okay? And I'm going to portray it as a woman doing this to you. If a woman makes you laugh, makes you smile in a genuine manner, really tickles you, excites you verbally speaking, and as you laugh, she reaches out and physically touches you. She is anchored or is going through the process of anchoring your psyche, connecting joy, connecting happiness, connecting serotonin, connecting oxytocin and this surge of positive hormone with the touch of her hand. That's a well-timed touch. And in the world of nonverbal communication, this is relatively common. If somebody is to reach out and touch you, maybe outside of their conscious awareness, it just happens, right? It's from a position of attraction. It's not repulsion. They're not moving away, they're moving inwards. So as you're having fun, engaging, creating great conversation, she doesn't manufacture but naturally finds herself getting close to you, it's a symbol of attraction. You can say, well, maybe she's just being nice. Well, trust me, she might just be nice to that homeless man. She doesn't want to touch him, right? She doesn't go out of her way to touch him, right? There are levels and degrees to this, okay? It is a spectrum. So at the very least, you're not as low as the men she stays away from. It's not about words, generally speaking. It's about how she feels. She's more prone to the emotive and more prone to the way she feels as opposed to the logical and rational. If you're engaging with a lady you've known for some time and maybe you're in a relationship of some extent, she'll remember the more emotionally driven conversations and disputes you've had, but you will just walk by it and completely forget about it. That's just how our brains differ. And you need to pay attention to that. Historically and evolutionarily speaking, touch is a test of safety. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We exist and reside within the same tribe. I look after you, you look after me. And I, as a human, if not a primate, are going to be triggered as heck if you touch me and I don't trust you. I will react in a freeze response. I will react in a flight response, given that's more appropriate and I don't have to, you know, pretend to be acquaintances with you, such as your boss feeling it's okay to come and put his hand on your shoulder or ruffle your hair in this overt display of power, or should I say indirect yet sinister display of power, because you can't do that in return, right? You may freeze up. If that lady you have physically touched freezes up, I don't think you should step further. So evolutionarily, only trusted and confident men can initiate physical closeness. Women are biologically more sensitive to touch. Okay? So this is something to take into consideration as well. They've got a better sense of smell. They've got a broader peripheral vision. Women, in relation to men, can be perceived as superhuman to some degree, you know? And they have an incredible reaction to the sense of touch. They're sensitive, their skin has more nerve endings. Okay? When we speak of pacifying behaviors in body language, it's generally a self touching behavior, and that self touch stimulates the nerve endings to fight off the stress that individual is feeling. So, subtle contact is deeply impactful. You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and do 20 overhead presses with her. A slight brush is a symbolic. I'm here, I'm present. As referenced earlier, there's a particular hormone called oxytocin that is released through touch. Okay? It'll create a literal rewiring of her emotions towards you, given she feels good, confident, and present in your presence. Have you been in a relationship and you've held on to someone for 20, 30, 40, 50 seconds? Hours on end in the bed, and you feel a warmth that radiates from the inside out that can't be explained. It's an expression of the hormone oxytocin. It's the bonding hormone. It serves purpose to bring you both together. And it will start to flourish, giving you hold on, hug, embrace someone for the best part of half of a minute as a general number to put out there. What's the purpose of it? Well, it serves to aid you into procreation. It brings two people together. It garners comfort. It allows you a good feeling within each other's intimate space. Congratulations, you're one step closer to the procreation that is your biological animal's purpose. So here's some feel good hormones for that. Just to bump you along a little. Speaking on the controversial, if we were to reference what the pickup artists may put into effect, an escalation ladder. If you are to skip levels upon this ladder, you'll break trust and you'll be coming on too strong. A light brush of the hand turns into a tap on the arm, to the shoulder, to the back, to the waist. You understand you can't just not only enter someone's intimate space, but completely invade their sense of self with your domineering physical touch. You have to test the waters. And the moment she says no, back the hell off. Am I right or am I right? If you touch too much too soon, you're invasive. It's not right. If it verges on too little, there's a frigid sense. I guess it depends on what game you're playing. A little bit of distance doesn't harm. In the sense of the conversation I'm trying to express, rather she comes and touches you than the vice versa to get things going, right? Now pay attention, does she lean into the touch? Is the attraction mutual? Does she mirror the touch? Reciprocity. You know when somebody steps into your intimate space and then you're either comfortable to remain or you feel a bit too close for comfort, so you step back? Pay attention. Does she lean away? Does she lean in? Does she embrace your presence or is she repulsed by it? When you see a lady massaging her hair, when you see a lady holding on to her wrist, when you see a lady stroking herself in a particular manner subconsciously, it may link to a regressive state where she was once a young child and a parental figure, an authoritarian figure, would soothe her by touching her in those particular ways. You can create that same degree of comfort. She's a grown woman now, her father is elsewhere, and in manifesting the paternal archetype, you create comfort given that that figure was an individual of comfort within that lady's life. She's not going to want to engage in physical touch with those she finds repulsive, such as you to the women you find repulsive. When you're at the supermarket and you are paying with cash and you speak to the lady behind the counter and you think she's nice, isn't it exciting to hand the cash over and create electricity through the touch of a hand? But have you been on the flip side where the lady just drops the coins into your hand? Nope. don't want to touch you. Think about it. Handshakes, high fives, playful nudges. It's an establishment of comfort. If you can comfortably reside within her intimate space, she is giving you a showcase that you aren't deemed threatening, given that you read the signals right and you're not being stupid and misreading what she's potentially saying in a detrimental way, but you know, do the maths. When you're on a date and you're sitting opposite her on a table, after a few drinks, you may start to feign interest in her jewellery as a vehicle to touching her hand, and she allows you to do so. When she gives you a high five and as you connect hands, she grabs onto your hand, it's a practical means of developing a light social touch, which then leads to a playful touch, creating fun and subtle intimacy by lightly brushing her arm when you're joking, as I referenced, anchoring those good feelings to the physical attention. The man then starts to guide her with touch, takes leadership, something she adores because she doesn't want a man whom she is interested to be a follower, to be number two. She wants number one because society will deem her as valuable. So, from an egocentric standpoint, as a narcissistic standpoint, as a selfish individual, as we generally all are for the most part, because we need to survive and we need to look after ourselves first and foremost to ensure we can look after others. You'll find that this leading man, this powerful man, will place his hand on the small of her back and usher her through a door or whichever you choose in between. A signal of leadership and protection through that action. The holding of the hands from there on, as the escalation becomes more intimate, becomes symbolic. Two become one. Palm against palm. Our hands are weapons, and in holding each other's hands, we not only signify we are friends, but we allow ourselves to exist in a vulnerable space to a potential aggressive world by de-weaponizing ourselves to a certain degree. She may brush lint off of your shoulder, she may brush your hair away from your face. Likewise, you might do to her as a symbol of preening, showing that you care. Once again, using it as a vehicle to create intimate touch. Throughout this series, there should be a synchronization as the moon and the sun intertwine and do their rounds in harmony. If she's lingering in touch, or if she lingers in your touch, if she hangs around, you can potentially escalate. And if she withdraws, then it's time for you to ease off. Take that very serious, please. You transfer literal energy with the touch. It's an emotional exchange, okay? You are like Zeus in this sense. You supercharge her with electricity. You become superhuman. You're confident but never forceful. You're firm yet gentle. You're masculine. In tantric yoga, in Hindu tradition, touch is sacred. It's utilized as a way to awaken life force energy. And of course, there's plenty of men out there who haven't felt the touch from a woman. And isn't that a bleak situation? You should be strong, masculine, sturdy, and whilst residing in your masculinity, her mirroring you in her femininity, your touch will ground her. You calm her whilst you ignite desire. When you rush these things or when you're clumsy with these things, so as a law of power, they say interaction with boldness, right? If you are manufacturing this and trying to run game by forcing this in an unconfident manner, in an unnatural manner, you're going to come across as invasive. And you're going to break the trust you have, and that trust is ever so important because the moment she feels threatened by you, it's not a good situation. And I wouldn't recommend coming back from that point, to be honest. And if you're so clumsy, you might end up getting a bad reputation, which we're not going to manifest through word. We're not going to speak about it, but you know where I'm coming from. I have to re emphasize that 20 million times. But let's just pan the camera out for a second here. So, in a situation, you make an open declaration non verbally that you are there, you are present, you are a man. From there comes eye contact, direct or indirect. From there comes conversation. From there comes physical touch, and then from there is the bedroom. It's a brief mapping of how man and women get along and create beautiful life, you know? You don't need to overcomplicate it more than that. If you're over touchy, you're desperate. It's not a symbol of confidence. What aligns with the clumsy touching, with the rushed touching, with the manufactured and disconnect of touch, which creates a non congruence because your actions don't match up with whom you actually are, and she's going to feel, or her intuition is going to tell her to feel uncertain about you. You could also be acting with a limp or a weak touch, which is just uncertain, and an uncertain man isn't one I would trust with leading me. So, to close off, touch is a language in itself. Safety, intimacy, sexual intent. The man who is attractive and can attract and gets what he wants and is loved and adored and makes people feel good, doesn't rush, he guides, he grounds and excites. Pay attention. As a leader, you guide. You're not anything other than a leader. Don't ever believe it. You have to play both roles. You have to lead and follow in order to find balance in life. But in the world of the masculine and the feminine, the masculine always leads. It's not about how much you physically engage, it's about how deep she feels it. What more needs to be said? Click like and subscribe. Peace.